Welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy this week's chapter of Bethany by Olivia Julius.
Jamie was followed by 2 guards on either side of her. She looked down at her hands as they shook. She was still trying to get used to the fact that they were so small, or even the fact that she was right now wearing a pink dress with white tights. Jamie quickened her pace, her tiny footsteps echoing in the dimly lit hallway. The overhead lights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the cement floor. She was told that she would be able to see her father again, something that Jamie hadn't been able to do since she had been arrested a week ago. Her memories over the past week have been shattered. She remembers picking on a boy, but she doesn't remember why. She remembers being bigger and older, but nothing more than that. One of the guards stopped her and opened a door marked holding cell. The cold metal door creaked as it swung open, revealing a small, dimly lit room with a narrow cot and a small, barred window high on the wall. Jamie hesitated for a moment, her eyes scanning the unfamiliar space. The 2 men who had been tailing her stood guard at the entrance, their expressions stern and unyielding. "Go on, Jamie," one of the men urged, his voice gruff. "Your father is waiting." Confusion etched across Jamie's face, but she cautiously stepped into the holding cell. The door clanged shut behind her, the sound echoing in the confined space. The room felt strangely familiar, yet she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was amiss. As Jamie approached the cot, she noticed a small, worn-out journal lying on the narrow mattress. She picked it up, her fingers tracing over the faded leather cover. Opening it, she discovered entries detailing a drug that could change a man into a girl. The title of it is the MTK experiment. Jamie hadn't lost her ability to read yet. Lost in thought, Jamie barely registered the sound of footsteps approaching her cell. The door swung open once again, and a figure stepped into the dim light. It was also a little girl, the same age as Jamie but with a striking resemblance to her. Her eyes widened in recognition as she locked eyes with her. "Tyler?" the girl asked. She was wearing a blue dress like Jamie's dress, just hers is pink. "Who?" Jamie asked. Tyler did seem like a familiar name, but Jamie didn't know from what. Jamie was confused. She was promised to see her dad, yet they brought in this girl. The girl went over to Jamie. She put both hands on her shoulders. "Listen to me, Tyler," the girl said, looking her in the eye. Kind of scared Jamie a little. "You're not a girl, you are my son." "But you can't be my daddy," Jamie said, with a laugh. "And I'm a girl, not a boy." The girl's expression shifted from urgency to sadness as she realized the extent of Jamie's confusion. "Tyler, listen carefully. You were my son, but something happened, something they did to you. They turned you into Jamie, into a girl. The drug they used, the MTK experiment, it changes people. You were Tyler, and I was your father. Now, I don't know what I am." Jamie's mind whirred, trying to grasp the gravity of the situation. She looked down at her small, delicate hands, still shaking, and then back at the girl who claimed to be her father. The journal in her hand seemed to hold more answers, but the words inside were a jumbled mess, fragments of a reality that refused to make sense. "I don't remember being Tyler," Jamie said, her voice trembling. "I don't remember anything clearly. What did they do to me? Why am I here?" The girl hesitated, a mix of sorrow and frustration evident in her eyes. "The MTK experiment alters personalities along with everything else. They took you away, changed you, and now we're both trapped in this nightmare." As Jamie processed the information, a surge of anger welled up within her. Anger at the mysterious organization that had orchestrated this experiment, anger at being manipulated, and anger at the confusion that clouded her identity. "Listen, I'll help you retrieve your memories back," the little girl said. "They're not gone, they're just locked up in your brain." The little girl looked down at her hand and took the journal from Jamie. "Don't worry, I am in the same boat as you," the girl said. "Most of my memories are distorted too. I can't remember my name as a man, so for right now you can call me Charlotte."
Nathan woke up in his own bed on a bright sunny Saturday morning. He pretended to be asleep for as long as he could so that way he didn't have to get up and wear a dress. He had spent all last night watching his former friends file one by one into Alex's house for the spending the night portion of the party. Nathan was understandably not allowed to attend that part. Instead, he and Alex messaged each other over Facebook and Alex told him every detail. Nathan was kind of glad not to be invited. He didn't want the boys to make fun of him. Nathan couldn't believe that a week ago today he woke up in the hospital as a girl. It has been a long week for him, and he still wondered if he was ever going to be a boy again. A little part of him still wanted him to go back to being a boy, but a larger part of him was happy that he was a girl now. Nathan couldn't help but look at the dress that was hanging on the other side of the room on his closet door. Yesterday he had to wear it for his mother so that she could make sure that it didn't need altering before the party. She also took photos for the family and posted them on her Facebook profile. It felt like torture for the 15 minutes he had to wear the thing. He couldn't imagine what it would be like for him to wear it out to the party all day. He was really starting to regret taking the dress away from Victoria. At 8 o'clock Rebecca forced her son out of his bed and walked him to the bathroom to take a bubble bath that she had just made for him. Nathan smelled the flowery scent from the tub and instantly begged his mother not to make him go in there. It was bad enough that he looked like a girl, but now his mother wanted him to bathe like one. Up until now Nathan took showers as he continued to hold on to the last straw of his boyhood, but Rebecca threatened to undress him and throw him in there if he didn't cooperate, and when Nathan refused, Rebecca started to pull down his blue pajama pants. Nathan held on to them as hard as he could, but he lost his grip, and the pants went down to his ankles, showing off his purple panties. Now Bethany, you can either take off the rest of your clothes like a big girl and take your nice bubble bath, or we can continue to undress you like a little baby girl. Nathan silently agreed to undress himself. Good girl, Rebecca said, patting him on his head. You need to smell good for the party today. Nathan rolled his eyes and waited for her to leave so he could get undressed and get into the girly scented bath water. After his bath he put on the dress he had been regretting for the past week. With it he also put a pair of white tights on and a pair of black flats. He stood onto a little step stool and brushed out his hair, watching as the girl in the mirror went from wet tangled messy hair to curly semi-dry hair. Nathan slowly walked out of the bathroom and walked to the kitchen where his mother was making a quick breakfast of pancakes and fruit. Nathan took a banana and sat on his normal bar stool. He checked and double-checked that he was sitting right, and his legs were crossed correctly. You look nice, Rebecca said, sliding his breakfast over to him. Nathan grunted a little before taking a bite. Rebecca ignored him. She knew that Nathan didn't want to wear the dress, and she also knew that Nathan wanted her to buy it before another girl could. She figured he could live with the choice that he made. After Nathan was done with his breakfast, he threw the plate in the sink. He tried to make a mad dash for Alex's house, but his mother stopped him. She told him to sit on the floor in front of her, and when he did, she slipped a fake white flower beret into his hair. He wanted to complain, but his mother gave him a warning look. Can I go now? He pleaded with his mother. His mother nodded, and Nathan ran over to Alex's house. He was there hours before any one of the guests that were not invited to the sleepover were, because he was originally supposed to be there for the sleepover. He rang the doorbell and waited as Alex's mother opened the door and knelt down to Nathan's height. Well, Bethany, aren't you cute in that dress? She said, pinching his cheek a little bit. Nathan plainly glared at her until she stopped. Just tell your mama I called you cute and adorable and all those weird things, please. I'll promise to stop if you do, she said. Nathan nodded his head slowly and she led him into the house. The boys are playing video games upstairs, sweetie, she said. She then took Nathan by the shoulders and whispered low, if any of those boys make fun of you, I told Alex to go ahead and throw them out. I will not allow anyone to make fun of you just because you're a girl now. Nathan nodded and she let him go. Alex's room was smaller than Nathan's. He had a small bunk bed on one side and a dresser and a desk on the other side. An old TV was placed neatly on the dresser with a small shelf for Alex's PS5. Two of the boys were on the top bunk cheering for Alex, while Ben and Alex were on the bottom with controllers in their hands. They were playing an old copy of Madden when Nathan came in. The three boys stopped and stared at him while Alex jumped up and took Nathan by the hand. Guys, you remember Bethany, right? Alex asked, holding tight to Nathan's hand. "What's she doing here?" Ben asked. Nathan stopped for a moment and hoped that it wasn't going to be a repeat like last time. "I invited Nathan to the sleepover, and now since Nathan is Bethany, she has been allowed over before the party to play the PlayStation with us," Alex said, smiling and praying that the boys wouldn't leave. "This is bullshit, I didn't agree to let little girls in here," Ben said, throwing down his remote and standing up. Nathan felt a little scared, but Alex held onto his arm even more tightly than he did before. "Nathan has been my best friend since kindergarten. If you don't like it, leave," Alex said, taking a stand. "Maybe I will," he said. He turned around to face his little brother, who was hiding a little bit on top of the bed. "Come on, Cody, we need to go before that girl starts making us play with dolls." All eyes were on Cody as he climbed off the top bunk and stood chest height to his brother. "No," he said sternly. "Nathan was my friend, and he still is my friend. I don't care if his body has changed, his mind hasn't." Ben looked at his brother and then at Brian, who was still watching the conflict from the top bunk. "I'm staying here, Ben," he said, leaning over the bed frame. "If Nathan can stand being a girl for a week, I would love to see her stand to lose at playing me at Madden." Nathan brightens up with a little bit of happiness as the two other boys try to talk Ben back into the party. "You know what, guys, whatever. If you want to be sissies, go right ahead, I'm out of here," he said, stomping out and slamming the door behind him. Everyone looked at each other for a long moment, too shocked to say anything. Ben was the biggest and the oldest of the group, and he was also just like a big brother to every single one of them. "So, who am I playing?" Nathan asked, breaking the silence. The boys looked at each other before putting their hands up and begging Nathan to let them be first. "Let's go, Arizona Cardinals!" Nathan yelled before picking up Ben's old controller. The main party was outside in Alex's backyard. It was mostly Alex's family and a small group of his friends at school. Nathan was relieved to see that Victoria didn't make good on her promise and come to Alex's party demanding the dress from him. After eating a slice of cake and watching Alex open presents, Nathan started to walk around the yard aimlessly, a little bored of the party. He finally sat down at a card table and was surprised when Alex sat down next to him. "Nice party, huh?" he said, leaning back in his chair. "Yay!" Nathan said, smoothing out the skirt of the dress a little bit. "Listen, I just want to say thanks for coming even though Ben didn't want you here," Alex said, holding Nathan's hand. "Look, Alex, I get it," Nathan said, taking a deep breath. "You like me as Bethany, and you know what, I kind of like being Bethany now." Nathan grabbed Alex's hand in his. "I will need my best friend to help me out though." "I'd love to help you, Bethany," Alex said. Nathan smiled and kissed Alex on his cheek, causing Alex to blush. Nathan is honestly now at peace about who he is. He can now proudly say his name is Bethany May Reed and he is a girl. He looked over and watched as Alex recovered from the kiss and stood up to chase him down. After an hour, Bethany looked at her watch and knew that she had to get going. Most of the guests were already leaving the party. Alex and she were both seated at a card table talking about what her acceptance meant for the two of them. She excused herself and got up from the table. She had a report due on Monday and she also had to go to the mall with her mother to pick up a leotard for her dance class on Monday after school. On her way home, Bethany truthfully smiled for the first time in a week. Somehow this week started with Nathan becoming a girl, and now it had ended with him accepting her new role. Bethany walked home, and before she got to her house she looked back over to Alex's house and spotted Alex watching her and smiling.
10 years later. Bethany watched out the cab's window as the car pulled into the parking lot of the Shelby Research Lab. She paid the fare to the driver of the cab and quickly got out. Bethany took a deep breath, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. The Shelby Research Lab loomed before her, its sleek, modern facade reflecting the morning sunlight. The air hummed with a sense of innovation and possibility. She adjusted her messenger bag on her shoulder, the weight of her laptop and a stack of documents a comforting reminder of the important task ahead. Bethany couldn't believe that it had been 10 years ago that she had been inside of here getting checked out after she had become a little girl. The memories of that day still scared her a little bit, but she was determined to make the most of this day. As she approached the entrance, the glass doors slid open with a soft whoosh, welcoming her into the bustling world of scientific discovery. Bethany flashed her ID at the security desk, receiving a nod from the guard. The sterile white hallways echoed with the distant hum of machinery, and the occasional scientist in a lab coat hurried past, lost in thought. She followed the instructions that she was given and ended up inside of a room for interns. The room for interns was a hub of activity, filled with young minds eager to make their mark in the world of science. Bethany found an empty desk and settled in, glancing around at her new colleagues who were immersed in unpacking their stuff and waiting for instructions. It was everyone's first day on the job and the air was charged with intellectual curiosity, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie with the fellow interns. Bethany was one of the youngest interns in the room and in the program. After the lab found out that Bethany was interested in becoming a scientist, they offered this internship during the summer break between high school and going to the state university. Alex, her fiancé, wasn't happy when he found out that his future bride was going to be working in the same place that made Bethany a girl 10 years ago, but Bethany was able to convince him that the lab wouldn't be as bad as Alex made them out to be. Bethany looked up when a man walked into the room. The man was older than Bethany was but seemed to be a lot younger than most of the senior staff in the room. "Listen up, my name is Dr. Eric Walker, I am the head scientist here at Shelby Research Laboratories." Even though Bethany had never met him before, she knew that there was something linking them together. Dr. Walker had everyone stand up and follow him for a tour. Bethany got up and they all walked out to the main hallway where they could see into the labs. Dr. Walker started to speak about the lab's history, but something caught Bethany's attention. Two teen girls were inside of one of the lab rooms. They both looked identical, almost like twins. Both girls sat on chairs talking as two scientists did an exam on them. When Bethany stopped to look at them, one of the girls looked up. Bethany couldn't explain it, but when the girl looked up, she couldn't help but feel another familiar bond with this girl too. On the door to the lab a sign said Charlotte and Jamie. MTK Experiment 15432 and 15433. Memories of the third grade whisked before Bethany as she remembered the last day of her being a boy named Nathan. The memories of her waking up in a girl's body. Her mother insisted that she learn how to wear a dress, her first day of school having to wear the girl's uniform. But then the most intense memory came. She was back in the third grade, and still a boy. An older boy looked over the much younger boy. Bethany, then Nathan was pinned to the wall as the older boy's friends stood over him. Then suddenly she knew who one of the girls was. Who the girl had to be. "I know what you are wondering," a voice said, scaring Bethany. She turned to see Dr. Walker standing behind her. Bethany looked behind her and saw that the group was already gone. "I'm sorry, sir, I just got a little sidetracked," Bethany said, stammering to make an excuse why she didn't follow the tour. "It's all right, Ms. Reed," Dr. Walker said. He looked past her and into the window where the two teen girls were finishing up their exams. "Tell me, Bethany, do you know why you were given this internship so early?" Dr. Walker asked. Bethany just shook her head no. She wasn't sure if she should tell this man that she had become a girl thanks to this lab. Dr. Walker smiled a little and gestured to the window. He watched them for a minute in silence and then finally spoke. 10 years ago, a boy stole a test chemical that his dad was doing research on. He somehow smuggled it home, then he somehow smuggled it to school in his book bag. In a fit of rage, because the kid he was bullying had told on him to a teacher, the boy forced the younger boy to drink the chemical. Do you know what happened next? The younger boy became a girl? Bethany said. You became a girl. Dr. Walker said, correcting her. After what Tyler did to you, we put him and his father into our custody to protect the chemical's secret. Tyler and his dad are in there, aren't they? Bethany asked, pointing to the two girls. Yes, Dr. Walker said, nodding. See, the experiment that you received was different from what they got. You were able to keep your memories and your mind intact. In essence, you became a boy trapped in a girl's body. Both Jamie and Charlotte in there received a different, much older experiment. On that made their minds more moldable, they started becoming more girly as they started to lose their memories of their old life. That's horrific, Bethany said. She remembered the problems that she faced when she became a girl. She could only imagine what it would have been like if she also lost her memory of being Nathan too. "Trust me," Dr. Walker said. "I know what they are feeling." Bethany tried to say something, but now words came out. Was Dr. Walker a victim of the experiment too? "There will be time for questions later," Dr. Walker said as he led Bethany away from the window and down the hall. "For now, you have so much to learn."
This has been a OJ Studios production of Bethany by Olivia Julius. This story was originally written in 2016 and brought to YouTube in 2023. Special thanks go out to Lacey Rice for editing and helping with ideas to expand this story to what it is now. Also, thank you to our Patreon supporters, Martha Rose, Paula Peck, and Arturo Jose Barrio. Also, thank you to our YouTube channel members, Olivia Julius and Tisobi. With you, we are to make OJ Studios a great place to listen to TG stories.